the entire story of Jewish resistance during the Holocaust. April 19th, 1943, the Warsaw Ghetto. The Nazis have come to liquidate the last remaining Jews, transport them to Treblinka death camp. They expect no resistance. They've done this dozens of times. Round up starving, terrified people and load them onto trains. Easy. But this time, something's different. As SS troops enter the ghetto, gunfire erupts. Molotov cocktails rain down from windows. Homemade grenades explode in the streets. A ragged group of Jewish fighters, teenagers mostly, armed with pistols and bottles filled with gasoline, are shooting back. The Nazis retreat. For the first time in the entire war, German forces are driven back by Jewish resistance. It won't last. The fighters know it won't last. There's 750 poorly armed resistors against thousands of SS troops with tanks, artillery, and flamethrowers. But for one moment, they're not victims. They're warriors. This is the story nobody tells about the Holocaust. Not the 6 million who died. That story is told, and it must be told. This is the story of those who fought back. The uprisings, the escapes, the partisans in the forests, the ones who refused to go quietly. Because even in hell, some people choose to resist. First, understand what they were facing. This wasn't a war where you could win. The Nazis controlled all of Europe. They had the most powerful military on earth, and they decided that every single Jew, man, woman, child, would die. The final solution, formalized at Wannsee Conference in January 1942, was industrial genocide. Death camps designed specifically to kill Jews as efficiently as possible. Auschwitz-Birkenau could murder 10,000 people a day. Gas chambers disguised as showers. Bodies burned in crematoria. Zyklon B gas that killed in minutes. By 1943, most of European Jewry was already dead. Poland's 3.3 million Jews reduced to a few 100,000. The killing was so efficient, so systematic, that resistance seemed pointless. You're starving, weak, unarmed. Your family is being held hostage. If you resist, they'll kill everyone in your block. What do? Most chose to protect their families, to hope that maybe, somehow, they'd survive. That's not cowardice. That's being human. But some chose differently. They decided that if they were going to die anyway, they'd die fighting. And those stories, those impossible acts of defiance, are what we're about to explore. November 1940, the Nazis seal off a section of Warsaw and force over 400,000 Jews into it. The Warsaw Ghetto. 3.4 square miles for nearly 500,000 people. Starvation, disease, death everywhere. By summer 1942, the Nazis begin deportations. They say Jews are being resettled to labor camps in the east. It's a lie. They're going to Treblinka death camp. Between July and September, 300,000 Jews are deported and murdered. The ghetto population drops from 400,000 to 60,000. A young man named Mordecai Anulevich realizes what's happening. They're all going to die. The question is, how? He's 23 years old. Before the war, he was a youth movement leader. Now, he becomes a commander. He helps form the Job, the Jewish fighting organization. They have almost no weapons. A few pistols smuggled from the Polish resistance, homemade grenades, Molotov cocktails. They build bunkers and tunnels throughout the ghetto. They train in basements, and they wait. On April 19, 1943, the Nazis enter the ghetto to liquidate it completely. Mordecai and his fighters open fire. The Germans retreat. For 3 days, Jewish fighters hold major sections of the ghetto. The Nazis bring in tanks. The fighters disable them with Molotov cocktails. SS General Jürgen Stroop, commanding the operation, is furious. He orders his troops to burn the ghetto block by block. Flamethrowers, artillery. They set buildings on fire to force Jews out of hiding. The fighters retreat into the sewers, into bunkers, still shooting. The uprising lasts 4 weeks, far longer than Poland itself lasted against the Nazis in 1939. On May 8th, the Germans discover Mordecai's bunker at Miła 18. Rather than surrender, Mordecai and his commanders commit suicide. He's 24 years old. The Nazis kill or deport the remaining Jews. They blow up the Great Synagogue. Warsaw Ghetto is destroyed. But the resistance succeeded in one thing. They proved Jews could fight back. Word spreads to other ghettos, other camps. If Warsaw can resist, maybe we can too. Sobibor Death Camp, Eastern Poland. Between May 1942 and October 1943, the Nazis murder approximately 250,000 Jews there. It's a pure extermination camp. No labor, no selection. You arrive, you're gassed within hours. About 600 Jews are kept alive as Sonderkommandos, special commandos forced to operate the death machinery. They remove bodies from gas chambers, sort victims' belongings, burn corpses. They're witnesses the Nazis planned to kill eventually. In September 1943, Soviet Jewish POWs arrive, including a lieutenant named Alexander Pechersky. He's a soldier, trained, and he starts organizing. If they're going to die anyway, why not try to escape? The plan is insane. They'll secretly kill SS officers one by one during the afternoon when most guards are off duty, take their weapons, then, at 4 p.m., signal the entire camp to rush the gates. Anyone who makes it through runs for the forests. October 14th, 1943, the plan begins. A Jewish tailor lures an SS officer into the workshop to try on a new coat. As the officer admires himself in the mirror, resistance fighters kill him with an axe. They take his pistol. One by one, they kill 11 SS officers and several Ukrainian guards. Quietly, no alarms. At 4 p.m., Pechersky gives the signal. 600 prisoners rush the main gate. The guards open fire. Landmines explode. Prisoners fall. But the sheer number overwhelms the defenses. About 300 make it through the fence into the forest. The Nazis hunt them. Local Poles turn some in. Only about 50 survive the war. But Sobibor Death Camp is shut down immediately after the uprising. The Nazis can't risk another escape. The camp is dismantled, planted over with trees to hide evidence. The uprising saves no one at Sobibor. Everyone who didn't escape was killed. But it ends the camp. No more transports, no more mass murder there. That's victory, not survival. Just stopping the killing machine, even briefly. These aren't the stories you learned in school. This is resistance in impossible conditions. If you want more history that honors those who fought, hit subscribe. We're going deeper. Belarus, 1942. 3 brothers, Tuvia, Asael, and Zus Bierski, escape into the Naliboki forest after the Nazis murder their parents. They could hide, save themselves. Instead, they do something remarkable. They start rescuing Jews. They send messages to the ghettos. Come to the forest, we'll protect you. At first, it's just family, friends, then dozens, then hundreds, old people, children, women, people who can't fight but need shelter. Most partisan groups reject non-fighters. Too many mouths to feed, too slow. But Tuvia Bielski refuses to turn anyone away. We are all brothers, he says. His goal isn't just to fight Nazis, it's to save Jewish lives. By 1944, the Bielski Otriad unit has over 1,200 people living in the forest. They build a hidden village, workshops, a school, a synagogue. They raid German supply lines for food and weapons. They sabotage trains. They kill collaborators. The Germans hunt them constantly. So do local anti-Semitic partisans who kill Jews even while fighting Nazis. The Bielski group moves constantly, deeper into the forest, into swamps where pursuers can't follow. They lose people to German raids, to starvation, to typhus. But they save 1,200. 1,200 Jews who would have died in ghettos or camps. Instead survive because 3 brothers refused to save only themselves. When Soviet forces liberate the area in summer 1944, the Bielskis emerge from the forest with their entire community intact. It's the largest rescue of Jews by Jews during the Holocaust. Not by governments or diplomats, by partisans with guns and unshakable determination that Jewish lives matter. Hannah Zenish is 22 years old. Born in Hungary, she emigrated to British Palestine in 1939. She's safe. She could sit out the war in safety. Instead, in 1943, she volunteers for a British Special Operations mission. The plan: train Jewish volunteers from Palestine, parachute them into Nazi-occupied Europe, link up with partisan groups, help organize resistance, and rescue Jews. It's borderline suicidal. Most volunteers don't expect to survive. Hannah trains in Egypt, learns to parachute, studies radio operation and sabotage. On March 13, 1944, she parachutes into Yugoslavia, crosses into Hungary to reach the Jewish community. She's captured almost immediately. The Hungarian secret police torture her. They want radio codes, names of contacts. She refuses to talk. They bring in her mother, threaten to kill her unless Hannah cooperates. Hannah still refuses. For months, they torture her, break her teeth. She never gives them anything. In November 1944, she's put on trial for treason. She's calm, defiant. She's convicted and sentenced to death. On November 7, 1944, Hannah Zenish is executed by firing squad. She's 23 years old. She refuses a blindfold. She looks her executioners in the eyes. Before she died, she wrote a poem. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the secret fastness of the heart. That's what she was, a match consumed in kindling flame. She saved no one. She died without accomplishing her mission. But she tried. That's the resistance, not success. The refusal to accept helplessness. August 2nd, 1943, Treblinka death camp. Between July 1942 and October 1943, approximately 900,000 Jews are murdered there. Like Sobibor, it's a pure killing center. About 750 Jewish prisoners are kept alive to operate the camp. They know about Sobibor uprising. They know their days are numbered. A resistance committee forms, led by a doctor named Julian Chorądziecki. The plan? Steal weapons from the armory, kill guards, burn the camp, escape. They steal a key to the armory. But in April 1943, Chorądziecki is caught with stolen money. Rather than be tortured and reveal the plot, he swallows poison. He dies protecting the conspiracy. The resistance committee regroups under new leadership. They move up the date, August 2nd, hot summer day. Guards are lazy, some drunk. At 3:45 p.m., a prisoner uses the stolen key to open the armory. They distribute guns and grenades. At 4 p.m., they attack, shooting guards, setting buildings on fire. The watchtowers go up in flames. The gas chambers burn. 700 prisoners rush the fences. Half are machine-gunned. But about 350 make it into the forest. The Nazis hunt them with dogs and local collaborators. Only about 70 survive the war. But Treblinka, like Sobibor, is shut down after the uprising. The Nazis dismantle it, plant trees, try to hide all evidence. The uprising ends the killing there. 900,000 murdered. But the camp dies with them. No more transports, no more selections. The death factory burns. 700 unarmed prisoners destroyed, a Nazi death camp. If that doesn't deserve to be remembered, what does? Hit that like button if you want more stories of resistance against impossible odds. Here's what needs to be said. Most Jews didn't resist violently, not because they were cowards, because they were trying to save their families, because they were starving and weak, because the Nazis deliberately created conditions where resistance meant everyone in your block dies. The choice wasn't fight or surrender. It was fight and guarantee your family is tortured to death, or comply, and maybe somehow some of you survive. That's not a choice. That's hell. So when we talk about resistance, we're not saying those who didn't resist failed. We're honoring those who, in impossible conditions, chose to fight anyway, knowing they'd die, knowing they couldn't win, but refusing to go quietly. Warsaw Ghetto Uprising lasted 4 weeks. 750 fighters, poorly armed, held off thousands of SS troops, longer than Poland itself held off the entire Nazi war machine. That's not military victory, that's spiritual victory. Sobibor and Treblinka uprisings didn't save the prisoners who escaped. Most were hunted down and killed. But they shut down death camps. They stopped the killing machines, at least at those locations. That saved the Jews who would have been sent there next. The Bielski partisans didn't defeat the Nazis. They saved 1,200 people. 1,200 lives that would have been extinguished. 1,200 Jews who survived to have children, grandchildren. Thousands alive today because 3 brothers refused to abandon their people. Hannah Senes didn't rescue anyone. She was captured, tortured, executed. But she tried. She parachuted into hell knowing she'd probably die. That's not failure. That's courage beyond comprehension. This is resistance, not winning, refusing to accept powerlessness. 6 million Jews murdered, the most systematic genocide in human history. An entire civilization destroyed. Yiddish-speaking world of Eastern Europe erased so completely that within a generation, it existed only in memory. And 3 years after the Holocaust ends, Israel is reborn. After 2,000 years, after empires tried to erase them, after the worst attempted extermination in history, the Jewish people return to the land God promised Abraham. Coincidence? Here's what I see. For 4,000 years, empires have tried to destroy the Jewish people. Egypt enslaved them. Babylon exiled them. Rome scattered them. Medieval Europe expelled them. The Nazis tried to exterminate them completely. Every single one of those empires is gone. Egypt is a shadow of what it was. Babylon is dust. Rome is ruins. The Third Reich lasted 12 years, and the Jewish people are still here. Not because they're militarily stronger. For most of their history, they had no army. Not because they're more numerous. They're 0.2% of the global population. Not because they're morally superior. They're human, like everyone else. They're still here because there's a promise. Genesis 12. God tells Abraham, "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse." For 4,000 years, that promise has been tested. And for 4,000 years, it's held. The resistance during the Holocaust wasn't just human courage. It was the fulfillment of something deeper. The refusal of a people to disappear, even when hell itself tried to consume them. The Nazis believed they could erase the Jews, build a world where Judaism never existed. They murdered 6 million. They destroyed communities that had existed for 1,000 years. They burned synagogues, books, Torah scrolls. They tried to erase memory itself, and they failed. Not just because Allied forces defeated them. They failed because you can't erase a people God has chosen. You can kill millions. You can scatter them across the world. You can persecute them for millennia. But the promise remains. The fighters in Warsaw Ghetto knew they'd die. They fought anyway. The prisoners at Sobibor and Treblinka knew escape was nearly impossible. They tried anyway. The Bielski partisans knew hiding 1,200 people in a forest was insane. They did it anyway. Hannah Schenesch knew parachuting into Nazi territory meant death. She jumped anyway. That's not just human courage. That's the refusal of a people to accept extinction. The determination to survive, to resist, to remain, no matter the cost. The Holocaust was the most extreme attempt to destroy the Jewish people. It failed. Like every attempt before, it failed. And Israel exists today not despite the Holocaust, but in defiance of it. The ultimate resistance. The ultimate refusal to disappear. Today, there are about 15 million Jews in the world. Before the Holocaust, there were 16.6 million. The population still hasn't recovered. An entire generation was erased. Families ended. Bloodlines cut off. But the survivors rebuilt. They had children. They created communities. They returned to the land. And they remember. Every Holocaust survivor who lived to tell their story is a victory over the Nazis. Every child born to a survivor is a defeat of Hitler's vision. The resistance during the Holocaust matters because it proves something essential about the Jewish people. They don't just survive, they fight. Even when fighting is hopeless, even when survival seems impossible, they resist. Not all of them. Most couldn't. Most died without the chance to fight back. But enough resisted that the story survives. Warsaw, Sobibor, Treblinka, the Bielski Forest, Hannah Schenesch. Names and deeds that echo across time. The Holocaust tried to break the Jewish spirit, to reduce Jews to helpless victims waiting for death. And in the ashes of the camps, in the ruins of the ghettos, some refused. They fought. They escaped. They saved others. They died on their feet rather than on their knees. That's the story that doesn't get told enough. Not the 6 million dead that must be told, must be remembered, but the ones who fought back, the impossible resistance, the refusal to go quietly into the night. They lost. Almost all of them died. But they proved something Hitler couldn't destroy. That the Jewish people, even in the darkest moment of their history, even when hell itself opened up to consume them, would not surrender, would not accept their own extinction, would resist until the last breath. And that resistance, that refusal, that determination to survive, it's why 15 million Jews exist today. It's why Israel exists. It's why the promise made to Abraham 4,000 years ago still stands, unbroken, despite empires that tried to shatter it. The entire story of Jewish resistance during the Holocaust is the story of a people who refused to die. And that refusal, that defiance in the face of genocide, is the greatest resistance of all. This is history that demands to be remembered. Not just the horror, the resistance, the courage, the refusal to accept extinction. If this moved you, share it. And subscribe for more stories that honor those who fought. See you next time.